my pleasure to join you on this occasion to give a lecture on literature review and finding the research gaps using AI tools. This is the topic for the day. Shall I directly go forward, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you share my screen?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please. I'm audible to you, sir?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Sir, you can start.
Am I audible, sir? My voice is okay, sir?
Yes, sir. You are very clear, sir. Yeah, please start.
Sir, I joined. Yeah, kindly go ahead, sir.
Esteemed participants and honorable chief guest, I'm very happy to note that, to welcome also to our esteemed President of Governing Council, Dr. L. Venkatesam Reddy Garu, Scientific Officer, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Government of India. Sir has joined. So now the session is on the verge of starting. So I request
Yeah, kindly go ahead, sir.
to kindly start the session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This is my son. Yes. Dina. Literature review. My screen is visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. I'll go for another tour.
Yeah, visible, sir.
Is it okay, sir?
Yes, yes.
So welcome back, all of you, my dear friends. I think most of you are research scholars pursuing your research in various universities. So I welcome back once again for the day 2, the International Online FDP workshop entitled AI-enabled research methodology, conducting during 25th to 31st of this month, July 2025. This is organized by Research India Foundation. I appreciate and my best compliments for the Research India Foundation and the team for conducting such an interesting and useful program. So day 2 of this International Online FDP, entitling AI-enabled research methodology. The title of this seminar is Identifying Research Gaps and Reviewing Literature. So the techniques of smart literature review using artificial intelligence tools. So this is G. Sreenivasula, Professor of Biotechnology, working at Pratyush Engineering College, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. I've been in this academics for over 20 years, dealing with so many academic and research activities and also administrative activities. So the schedule for this International FTP on July 21st, the first day, day 1, the title was Mastering Prompt Engineering for Artificial Intelligence. That was given by Professor Dr. Sreenivasula. Day 2 is my turn. Identifying research gaps and reviewing literature techniques. Techniques of smart literature review using artificial intelligence tools. This is the day 2 program. So what happened yesterday? What was the discussion yesterday? The summary of the day 1 was, what is prompt engineering? So how to craft precise instructions for AI to get high quality relevant outputs. And the key techniques used were zero shot, few shot, chain of thought, instruction based, role based, context aware, multimodal, and iterative prompt loops to refine topics into smart, that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So the applications transform vague ideas into research questions, outlines, objectives, and hypotheses. To enhance research writing, reviews, project design. The tools used were the ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, Hugging Face, Prawn Perfect, LangChain. So most of the tools today also may be this only. And the best practice is that use clear contextual prompts, provide examples, refine via AI feedback, address ambiguity, hallucinations, model-specific tuning. These were the topics yesterday discussed by Professor Asadi Sreenivasulu regarding the prompt engineering, how to search, how to give the instructions promptly to the LLM tools. So this is my topic, identifying research gaps and reviewing literature. Techniques of smart literature review using AI tools. So the objectives I found is understand how to identify research gap in academic literature. So that is one topic. And learn to classify gaps as citation, chaining, and meta-analysis techniques. And master structured literature review methods like Prisma, PICO, CIMO logic, etc. Build and use a literature matrix for synthesis. So we'll get in detail all these. Distinguish between summarizing and synthesizing research findings. How to summarize, how to synthesize, what's the difference between the two, and what is the importance of these activities. And explore and utilize artificial intelligence tools, that is Semantic Scholar, Research Rabbit, Cite, Elicit, Chat PDF for efficient literature reviews. These are the tools that we make use. And practice extracting research gaps using AI, real-world AI tool demos. These are the objectives of the today's session. So before going for that, let us recapitulate few of the things what we mean by research. Research. It's a systematic process of investigating questions or problems or addressing the problems to discover new knowledge, validate existing ideas, or solve specific issues or propose some conclusions. So the purpose of research is what for we need to do the research to discover new facts or verify old ones. Say some statement is there, whether that statement is right or wrong. If it is right, at what conditions? At what conditions it is wrong? So like that, there will be so many questions, queries. So to discover new facts or verify old ones is one purpose. And we have a problem. How to solve it? To solve the problem, the research is one of the purposes. Or to develop or test some theories. Some theories will be proposed by some scientists, whether they are validated or not, whether they are applicable or not. If so, under what conditions? If they are failing, under what conditions? So to make this all, the purpose is to develop or test theories or to improve understanding. Already existing concept is there. How best we can improve the understanding of that? So different types of the researches are there. Basic research expands knowledge. Applied research, it solves real world problems. Whatever problems are there now, we will try to solve those real world problems. Empirical, so data based or experimental based research. Theoretical, some concepts oriented or model oriented researches. So this research can be done in different systematic. Already we have said the definition of the research is a systematic process of investigating questions or problems to discover new knowledge, validate existing ideas, or to solve or to address some issue. So this is a systematic process. So in that systematic process, there are typical steps, tentative steps, not exactly the same for one type of the research, one type of procedure will be there in general. So what is that you are going to do? So the first step is identify a problem or frame a question. What is that you want to do? What is the problem that is with you? And on that problem, you search through the literature. Whatever information that is available on a certain problem that you are addressing, and prepare a question on that, and go through the literature and consolidate the literature information that is with you. So based on that literature prescribed and collected from you, keep that aside as a document, read out and analyze, and from this existing information, you propose a hypothesis. So, or you propose an objective. With this information, what you want to go, what you are going to do, framing of the objective or proposing some hypothesis. And for that objective, to meet that objective, what is the methodology you follow? What is the design the method? So in this process, what you are doing? So already you have a problem and you have the information with you and you have developed an objective, what to do and all. In order to do that, to bring out some meaningful conclusions, your objective will bring some meaningful conclusions. So to bring out those meaningful conclusions, by achieving the objective, you need to prepare a systematic methodology. So design method. So what to do and all that is. Then collect and analyze the data. For this information, whatever information that is required, you collect it and keep that in a systematic format and analyze the data. So once analyzing the data, so collection of the data, either it may be from the primary source or it may be from the secondary source. Primary source means the data that you create by running the experiments. Secondary source means the information that is already recorded by reliable sources. So collection of the data either from the primary source or from the secondary source. So primary source mostly may be the source that is done by an investigator, the researcher. So secondary source may be from reliable resources like government documents, reliable articles, documented, authorized documents. So with this collected data, you make use of the data to analyze. To what extent you can analyze that? If this data is with you, with this data, what results you can bring it out. So by using certain analytical techniques like computational techniques, logical techniques, we can analyze the data and bring out some of the results in a meaningful way. So once that results are got, how to interpret that results in a meaningful way relative to the problem, relative to the objective that is already defined or framed by the researcher. So once these interpreted results are there, how to share that with the people, or how to share it? In what form do you share? Just by words, or just by a document, or just by an authorized communication, like that. So documentation, clear documentation in the form of a reliable source that is sharing the findings. This is the research, so many various steps in that research. So research consists of different methodologies, different steps. In that, firstly, what is the problem that you have? For that problem, prepare various possible questions. So from those questions, document that questions and go through the literature related to that problem or question and document the literature that you have extracted from various sources. Getting the literature from various sources, that is another part we'll see. Then from that literature, you propose a hypothesis and you frame the objective. So once you go through the all literature, whatever has happened so far in this particular area, you will come to a conclusion that there are some objects to be done. So multiple objectives also can be framed. Towards that objective, you need to prepare a design method. So that design method will require collection of data and analysis of data. So that collection of data may be either done by the investigator or taken from the reliable sources. So once that analysis of data is done, some meaningful interpretations will be coming. Those are documented in the form of interpreted results. Those interpreted results are to be shared in the form of a fine document. So that is the research methodology. So once you go through, you are framing an objective based on what factor you frame the objective. So already you have some information related to a certain topic. In that topic, you have gone through everything and taken out some of the inputs from the existing literature, and you will arrive at a conclusion that these are not the things considered while doing this research. Even if the research is done by this way, by these people or these people, like that, still there are some gaps to be filled up. So research gaps are there. So research gaps are the areas in a field of study that have not been fully explored and that are not being answered, that are not being even understood clearly. So they represent unanswered questions, unexplored topics, some contradictions or limitations in the existing body of the knowledge. So these are the gaps that come once we go through the literature and review the literature. So identifying research gap is crucial for advancing knowledge, proposing new studies, or improving the practices. Once the information is there with you on a particular topic, once you go through the available literature through that, and you will come to a conclusion that some of the things are not clearly handled. So those are called as limitations or contradictions, unanswered questions, or unexplored topics. So these all come under research gaps. So based on the research gaps, we need to recapitulate the objective that you need to go for. So this is the topic I have. These are the questions I have. For this, these are the tentative objects I have prepared. For this, once I go through the literature, after collection of the literature and analyze that information, there are some unanswered questions, there are some unexplored topics, there are some contradictions, or there are some limitations in the existing literature. So these are all to be taken as the objectives of your study. So research gaps are simply missing the pieces of or unanswered questions in current knowledge or literature on a particular topic. So different types of the research gaps are there. We'll see that. Unexplored ideas, not studied at all. Contradictory findings, conflicting results in studies. So emerging areas, new topics from trends and technology. Outdated areas, old research, no longer relevant. Population context gaps, understudied groups or settings. So for example, if you say contradictory findings, the value of 0, no one knows. So many researches are done. The value of 0 factorial is not known. See, there is a contradiction. The value of 0 is not exactly defined anywhere in the mathematics, whereas the value of 0 factorial is taken to be 1. How it is so? It's a contradiction. So for that, so many theories were done, so many researches were done. Ultimately, they have given some conclusions. Those conclusions may be acceptable or adaptable, or even a conclusion that you bring out, if this is not possible to find out the value of 0 factorial, like that also, that may be a conclusion. But there should be a justification, whatever you propose. So, for example, emerging areas like drug discovery, medicines we are using, different medicines. So, how that drug is to be discovered? Like that, there are research gaps are there. So, finding out the research, what for it is, to contribute new knowledge to your field, ensure research addresses real needs, if the need is there or not, and avoid duplicate existing work. Sometimes we do some work on some area. After doing that work for about 1.5 years, 2 years, you may find that this was done by so-and-so person at so-and-so place, and there is no meaning of doing your work. You are simply duplicating the work. So that cannot be taken at the research. So further, if you can modify that, that is and all, it is another part. So these are the research gaps. What for it is to contribute new knowledge, to ensure research addresses real needs, avoid duplicating existing work. So there are so many examples of research gaps. So for example, if you take in medicine, most studies on heart diseases focus on men, leaving a gap in understanding symptoms and treatments for women. This is common practice. So to study that disease, heart disease, most of the people who get heart disease, men only, but it doesn't mean that women don't get. Women also will get. But for studying purpose, you are taking the samples, most of them are from men only. That is one gap. In education, if you see, there is a plenty of research on online learning in universities, well and good, but little on how online methods affect primary school students. It's not applicable. It's not done actually, because the people studying in universities are matured and they can adapt to the new technologies, or they can concentrate to listen, whereas the school children, they cannot concentrate on the lectures delivered during online. So little on how online methods affect the primary school students is there. So that's a gap. Even for school students also, there may be a chance to engage them with interesting classes. That is another part. So in the environmental sciences, for example, you take climate changes impacts on large mammals like polar bears, elephants, giraffes, like that. These are all well studied. But when effects on insects or soil microbes are often overlooked, small microbes that we cannot see with the naked eye, how they affect, we don't know. Suppose, for example, in environmental conditions, the temperature is more than 50 or 60. Many of the sensitive animals will die. Even we also suffer some diseases like that. Whereas the microbes that cannot be seen through microscope cannot be studied. So that is one gap. So these are some of the technology. If you take many artificial intelligence systems are trained on English language data, creating a gap in accuracy for non-English speakers. Is it not the gap? Is everybody in attention, sir? One of you please respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you
Yes, sir.
following? Is
Yes,
there
sir.
anything
Yes.
that I need to change in way and style of teaching?
We are following.
Class?
Okay, fine, sir.
Is it okay, sir?
Fine, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, for example, you take business or management. Leadership styles in Western cultures are well researched, but there is a less data on leadership in small, family-owned business in developing countries. I think if there are any business people, they can simply see all the theories that in a business mostly are from Western countries only. Then coming to that is one gap. Next, studies about mental health interventions often focus on adults, leaving a gap regarding children and adolescents. So mental health interventions, if someone is disturbed with other activities, That is all done, studied by on adults only, leaving a gap regarding the children and adolescent people. That is one gap. Similarly, examples of research gaps in engineering and technology. So artificial and intelligence and machine learning. See, for example, most artificial intelligence AI models are trained on well-structured data, but there is a gap in methods that can reliably handle noisy, incomplete, or real-world data from sensors and IoT devices. If the information is text data, it doesn't matter. Suppose if the information that is shared by the sensors or IoT devices that may be having some noise or incomplete or real-world data cannot be like that. So that is one problem. So AI models with noisy data cannot be dealt properly. Then renewable energy sources, you see, while solar and wind technologies are well studied, everybody knows that, but there is a gap in efficient and affordable large-scale energy storage solutions to address intermittent energy supply. So much of energy from sunlight, winds we are getting, but we are not able to store that energy. Still, there is a gap in that. Large amounts of energy cannot be stored in batteries even. So that is one gap. So for that, we need to go for some other solution. For in civil engineering, for example, you see, much research focuses on urban infrastructure, but rural infrastructure resilience, such as bridges and remote areas, is underexplored, especially regarding climate change adaptation. This is one gap. See, if you go for cyber security, there are many solutions for desktop and enterprise environments, but a gap exists in robust cyber security strategies for rapidly growing fields like wearable devices and smart home systems. Security in terms of the small systems is still lagging. That is one. And some more. Manufacturing automation. While automation is large factories is well understood, there is less research on affordable automation solutions for small and medium enterprises. That is one gap. If you go for robotics, many advancements in focus on industrial robots, but gaps remain in developing low-cost adaptive robots for healthcare or home assistance. So nowadays, we are doing even surgeries with small robots. So the adaptive robots, there is a gap in developing low-cost adaptive robots for healthcare and home assistance robots. Then sustainable materials. Plenty of research is on the strength of new composite materials, but less is known about their long-term environmental impact and recyclability. We are able to find out so many composite materials for a need, but how long they will be working and over the time, what is the environmental impact and whether it is possible to recycle, or if it is not so, what way it is damaging the environment. So that and all is not known as of now. That is another gap. So as I am working in biotechnology, I want to stress out few of the gaps that are there in the biotechnology too. It doesn't. No, don't worry that I am talking about only biotechnology. This is one of the area where I want to stress on. So lack of understanding of gene function. Genes means there are some genetic material. So many genes in plants, animals, and microbes have not been fully characterized. There is still a gap in understanding what specific genes do and how they interact within the cell. So living cell has different elements in that. Genetic material like DNA and RNA is there. These are the genetic materials. So what gene will do for this thing? For example, cow is there. Cow can digest any type of the microorganisms, whereas people like us, you cannot. So what is causing that? Which gene is causing for that to have that much of resistance? Like that, genes are characterized, but what gene does what job? still there is a confusion. Only in biotechnology, for information, molecular biology especially, 10% of the knowledge only we are using. Remaining 90% we don't know by means of hypothesis. Even for medicines also, by trial and error method we are using drugs. If it is done by trial, good. Otherwise, no. Even most of the medications still by trial and error method only. Similarly, bioprocess optimization. There is a need for more research on scaling up bioprocess. If you prepare 1 liter of material in certain vessel, if you want to prepare 1,000 liters of material in another material, so how to scale up that bioprocess? Are there any thumb rules? Thumb rules are there. So if it is like this is like this. If it is like this is like that. There are some thumb rules. There is no theoretical or proven record. That is another gap. Personalized medicine. So, for example, some people will not adapt for a certain medicine. So, more studies are needed to understand how individual genetic differences affect the responses to drugs and therapies, especially in diverse populations. So, medicine that is used in India, especially in Andhra Pradesh, may not be useful in Canada because there the temperature is different, people lifestyle is different, surrounding environmental parameters are different. Like that, humidity is different. So finding out the personalized medicine is difficult. That is one of the gaps. A tablet working perfectly in this location may not be working for other places or may not be working for other sort of the people. So environmental impact on genetically modified organisms. Research gaps exist around the long-term ecological impact of genetically modified organisms on non-target species, biodiversity, and soil health. So we are producing genetically modified organisms like plants, microbes, etc. How they are affecting on the soil health and biodiversity, targeting other species like that. Then antimicrobial resistance. Biotechnology is crucial for developing new antibiotics, but there is a gap in rapid detection methods and understanding resistance mechanism at molecular level. So synthetic biology safety. So the safety and ethical frameworks for synthetic organisms are still underdeveloped. There is a gap, risk of handling those biological materials. So these are some of the gaps. So as of now, what we have done, what is research, what are various steps in research, how to find out the research gaps, what are various examples and research gaps in different areas, including the biotechnology. We are saying that there are gaps. How will you find out the research gap? So academic and practical importance. So to identify the research gaps helps expand the boundaries of current understanding and fills the missing pieces in a field, knowing all the information that is available as of now, and then identify the gap. That gap will help us to expand the boundaries of current understanding and fills the missing pieces in a field. What is to be done? What already is done? What is to be done? So what is to be done innovatively? So new discoveries often emerge when researchers address areas that have not been fully explored. Say, for example, this medicine is working in these places. It has not been tried for the clinical trials in some other place. So new discovery will do. For example, to say, vaccine that has been found for COVID within very few months when during the COVID season. So that was the effort of finding out, taking out the data analysis, developing the technologies. So new discovery was done and that vaccine was done. So that is like that. So guides research focus. So knowing the gaps helps the scholars, students, and the professionals target their work more effectively, making research more relevant and impactful. then solves real world problems. So it addresses research gaps and lead to solutions for pressing issues in society, industry, healthcare, and technology. And by recognizing what has already been studied, researchers can avoid repeating work and instead focus on new challenges. And the projects targeting important gaps are more likely to attract grants from support from the funding agency. These are the reasons why we need to find out the research gaps. So for all these reasons, gaps are to be found. These are some of the reasons. So different types of the research gaps are there based on the knowledge, whether there is a gap in knowledge or based on the methodology that we run the do the research, or based on the population, whether that is applicable for all the population or simply a specific gender or specific area like that. And theoretical gap, anything that is missing or outdated theories to explain a certain phenomena. Empirical gap, lack of real world data, evidence to support claims of ideas. So practical lack of research. So we have done experiment on a certain practical conditions. Some of them are not applicable for other needs. So like that, these are the different types of research gaps. Just hold on. So these are the types of the research gaps, that are 6 numbers. We'll go in detail. So actually our objective is to review the literature and finding out the research gaps. That is our topic. In addition, how best to make use of the artificial intelligence tools. That is our topic. So let us have an introduction about what is research gap, what are various, why is research, what are various types of the research gaps, so on. So these are 6 types of the research gap. So first one, we'll go for the knowledge gap. Knowledge gap means what? Lack of information or understanding about a specific topic. Some examples you see in the biotechnology. There is a limited understanding of long-term effects of gene-edited crops on soil, health, and biodiversity. So no studies have been examined the effect of a new drug on a particular age group. These are some 2 examples. So, for example, you see limited understanding of the long-term effects of a gene-edited crops. For example, BT cotton, we might have heard about it. BT cotton was genetically modified plant. That cotton, once after using, has become some of the problem for the environment. So that is the long-term effect of the gene-edited crops is not understood. So that was the big problem in, if anybody in agricultural area can understand that. And the no studies have been examined the effect of a new drug on a particular age group. You will find out a drug for a particular disease, whether it is applicable for this age group or this age group, that is not done. So that is one gap. Medicine, for example, few studies have been investigating the impact of sleep disorders on the progression of autoimmune system. Suppose if you don't sleep orderly, how that immune system will respond. For that, there is no sufficient investigation. And in the field of education, for example, there is a lack of research on effectiveness of virtual reality tools in improving learning outcomes for students with learning disabilities. So some people, students with learning disabilities, they cannot learn fastly. So there is a lack of research effectiveness of virtual reality tools. There is one gap. Environmental sciences, for example, you take insufficient data exists on the role of microplastics in disrupting freshwater ecosystems and their effect on aquatic organisms. So plastics we are using, how they are disrupting the freshwater ecosystems and their effect on the aquatic organisms. This also is not known so far. So these are some of the knowledge-based gaps. So methodological gaps. So previous studies may not have used the best or latest methods. That is the gap for this research. For example, you see medicines. Most studies on a new cancer treatment rely on retrospective data analysis instead of randomized control trials, which provide stronger evidence. So for the cancer treatment, the doctors, what they are doing is, whatever retrospective data, that means for that patient, what he has gone through, retrospective information, based on that only they are giving medication, and they are not going for randomized controlled trials, which provide stronger evidence. That is one gap, methodological gap. In education, for example, research assessing teaching effectiveness often uses standardized test scores only, without considering qualitative classroom observations or student feedback. That method we are not following. Even in the examinations, what we are doing, even last bench candidate is getting 90 out of 100. The first bench students may be getting 85 out of 100. So how it is, the method, there is a gap in the methodology of assessment. So this is one of the methodological gap. So if at all a student has to be evaluated based on his knowledge, oral, written, discipline, so many parameters, evaluation parameters. So only thing is that evaluation is done only based on the percentage of the marks. That is not, that's a methodological gap. Assessment of the student should be done based on various methods. That is one gap. Environmental science, another. Most climate changes studies use simulation models, but rarely include long-term real-world field experiments to validate predictions. There are theories, there are models, we are taking the information, we are taking the data, we are analyzing the data, bringing out some conclusions, whether they are including long-time evaluations or not. It has, for example, in environmentals, the temperature of the earth over the cycle of 400 years will vary. Suppose if the temperature today is, and this earth is 25 degrees centigrade, the same temperature variations will come after 400 years. That is, by statistical information, it has been hypothesized, found out. So like that, the climate change studies using simulation models rarely include the long term. So that was one, somewhere found it is. So in engineering, for example, you see structural safety evaluations of bridges often rely on computer models and rarely involve large scale real world stress testing. That is one. And computer science, for example, most studies evaluating the accuracy of artificial intelligence algorithms for image recognition rely solely on benchmark data sets, rather than testing the algorithms in real-world scenarios with diverse and noisy data. So benchmark data means fresh, systematically collected data is there. So raw data we are not taking. That raw data, if you take, and noisy data, if you take and process that noisy data, from that we'll get the artificial intelligence algorithms accuracy. That is one gap. So population gap. So what is this is, a population gap occurs when certain group or demographics are underrepresented or not studied in existing research. This gap suggests that findings from existing studies may not be generalized to all populations. You are finding out a medicine to treat so-and-so disease. Mostly that disease may come in between, in the age group of 18 to 45, majority. Doesn't mean that it doesn't come other underage or overage. That also will come. But we will ignore that older adults or children's. So that is a gap. That is called as population gap. This creates a population gap as the results may not apply to those excluded groups. Then, why it matters? So, it limits the applicability and relevance of research findings. It may overlook important variations in outcomes based on the age, gender, ethnicity, geography, etc. And it contributes to bias and inequity in research outcomes and policy decisions. Sometimes the age group 18-45, only 80% of the men and 20% of the women may take. That is also a gap. So any sort of the gap related to the population, not representing the all sample information from all age groups, is called as the population gap. So how to address this? Include diverse population groups in the study design, conduct subgroup analysis, review literature to identify which populations are underrepresented. Already experimental runs are done, the information is available. With that information, what is the gap that you find out? For that gap, you fill it up to do the research. That is the population gap. So some theoretical gaps are also there. So these are the foundations of category theory and set theory integration. That is one example. So foundations of category theory and set theory integration. So the relationship between category theory, that is structures and mappings, and the set theory, that is collections of elements, is still not fully unified. That is one gap. Because a more cohesive foundation for abstract mathematics that bridges both the systems, that is the need for us. So mathematics of consciousness and cognition, interdisciplinary topic. For example, the lack of mathematical models that explain the complex nonlinear behavior of consciousness. So for example, I am alert. To what extent I am conscious? Because I need to handle this session, almost 99.9% alertness I should have. So for example, you all are around 100 members are listening to me. Doesn't mean that all 100 members are with alertness of 99.9%. No. 50% attention will be there for some people. 90% attention will be there for some people. So to represent that, to measure that, the extent of the consciousness, is there any mathematical model to represent? It's not there. That's a gap. So there is a need to theoretical models drawing from dynamic systems, topology, and information theory to represent the extent of the consciousness and cognition. Then mathematical biology, modeling multi-scale biological systems. What is the gap? No unified mathematical theory that seamlessly connects molecular, cellular, and organ level dynamics. There are small molecules. These all molecules are arranged in a different way, in different forms, in different cells. Such different cells will form one organ. Those organs will form one body, either it may be plant or animal or microbe. So what is the coordination between these all? So what is the connection between molecular, cellular, and organ level dynamics? It's not understood. So there is a need for the theoretical frameworks to integrate differential equations, stochastic models, and network theory. This is a hypothesis only. Finding out difficult, it's so difficult. So human body itself is a complex in nature. So that gaps we can hypothesize so and so this may happen, and we'll put an effort. Ultimately, by running the experiments and making the tabulating the data and analyzing the data, we'll come at the conclusion. So quantum information theory, for example, there is a gap, incomplete understanding of how information is stored, transferred, and entangled in quantum systems. Now there is a word called quantum computing everywhere. We don't know how that information is stored, transferred, and entangled in the quantum systems. We don't know. Photons. Quantum means photons, energy. How it done is done, but we are using quantum computing techniques. So theoretical advancements in quantum logic, algebra, and enlargement entropy. We need to have this much of knowledge on this. So theoretically, you need this all. Then another gap is empirical gap. What is this? Empirical gap occurs when real world data or experimentation is missing to support a challenge or validate existing theories or models. These gaps highlight areas where more evidence is needed. So some experimental information is there. To find it out empirically, there is a gap. So for example, wireless power transfer is hypothesis. Power can be transferred without wire. That is hypothesis. So that's a gap. Lack of empirical data for safe and efficient energy transfer in complete complex environments. For example, hospitals, smart homes, etc. Power transfer is not possible without wires. So that is one gap. So we need more real-world experiments under different load conditions and spatial configurations. To fill that gap, we need that. So another thing, battery health prediction in electric vehicles. Nowadays we are facing failure of the electric systems, and the life of the electric vehicles somewhat contradictory. So the gap is that many theoretical models exist, but limited empirical data sets are available across battery types and climates. So there is a need for long-term real-world data to improve accuracy and generalizability. So electric vehicles especially, recently were these contemporary technology, we don't have long-term real-world data. So that is lagging. So that is one gap. So electromagnetic interference in high-speed circuits. What is the gap in that? Simulation tools provide predictions, but lack correlations with the experimental lab or field measurements. That is one empirical gap. So what is the need for that? Controlled lab experiments and field data for model calibration. So this is another such example. Next is the practical gap. So practical gap arises when research findings or theories are not effectively applied in real-world scenarios due to technological, economical, political, or societal barriers. So practical gaps are there. For example, carbon capture and storage. What is that? Technologically prone, but limited adoption due to high cost and infrastructure demands. Carbon dioxide can be captured in order to make greenhouse gases less in the air. There are technological proven systems, but limited adoption due to high cost and infrastructure demands. That is a practical gap. It's not being done. And in turn, we are going for greenery. So plants will absorb carbon dioxide. So that is the natural remedy. We are going for natural remedy, though the technology is proven. So research and scalable, cost-effective and deployment in industrial sectors is required. And plastic waste management, that is another gap in practically. So many biodegradable solutions exist in theory, but few are used commercial packaging due to material limitations or high costs. So plastic is becoming day by day a very problem. How to reduce that plastic materials in the environment? It's possible. Theory is there. But implementation is that there is a practical gap. So there is a need for application of focused studies on making biodegradable plastics viable for the industry. That is one need. Then urban green infrastructure. All of you are alert? Is it getting bored? One of you please respond. There are the important things ahead. So I'm just thinking about, since our topic is research gap, I'm talking about the research gap first, and what are the various types of the research gaps, how to handle them. So what tools are there to find out those research gaps, to fill out that research gaps? All of you are listening carefully. One of you please respond.
Yes, sir.
Fine. We are following.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
the flow is good, okay, ma?
We are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So renewable energy in remote areas. So our objective is to find out the research gaps in different fields. Finding out the research gaps, what are the tools and techniques, that is another part. So we are at the edge of talking about the research gaps, various types. The last one is the practical gaps. For example, renewable energy in remote areas. There is a gap. Solar and wind are well understood, but deployment lags in off-grid communities due to logistics and maintenance challenges. Energy can be captured either from the wind or from this tides or from the sunlight. Capturing them and storing them, it is very difficult. That is a gap. So there is a need to do research on localized implementation and training for long-term upkeep. Storage of energy for some time is difficult. Recently, we have seen that a flight, it has 10,000 liters of fuel in that flight. So that fuel has caused for the burning of that flight recently in Ahmedabad. So if there is a chance, there is a possible feasibility to store that energy in small, like a box, then it will be well and good. So that is lagging. That is practically not feasible. That is a gap. Then water conservation agriculture. Efficient irrigation techniques exist, like drip irrigation, but adoption is low. Why? Due to the lack of awareness or funding. There is no money. To maintenance is difficult. So there is a need for practical frameworks for farmer training and policy incentives. Of course, the government is putting efforts. The thing is that it is practically not much feasible. It is feasible, but there is a gap. So that is gap in practical gap. So why these gaps are coming? Can we consolidate the gaps, the common sources for the gaps? So we'll see that. So that common source for the gaps is because of the literature. The literature is outdated or limited studies. And it is contradictory or missing some of the findings. And so there are some literatures which are unexplored topics. So for these reasons, there are gaps as far as the literature is concerned. Then expert opinions. There are so many experts in particular area. They differ in their views. They lack of consensus and their analysis and emerging or unveiled ideas, unverified areas. Expert opinions brought out from experts are emerging or unverified ideas. Sometimes without verification, they throw a word. They're not actually fit. So that is one gap. Recent events, say for example, new developments, technological or societal changes, impact of current events. So these all will cause for the common sources of gaps. For example, we people at this location using some sort of the soap. The same soap is not supposed to be used in some other place where temperatures are more. So environmental conditions, societal conditions, economical conditions, all these will change the gaps. Then practical versus theory. Real world challenges are there. Theories are there to handle, but there is a gap between the theory and implementation. We also frame some work. Our schedule will tomorrow, by this time we will get up, this time we will sleep. In between, there is a list of that. Is it possible for us exactly to follow that schedule? So practically, it's not possible. So there is a gap between the theoretical framing and implementation. That is called as practice or theory. And data availability. For everything, sufficient data is not available. And even though data is available, it's not accessible to everyone. So some information will be with the government, some information will be with the defense, which cannot be disclosed. Some information will be under patent. Some information will be with some people, those who cannot share with others unless they are paid, like that. So there are some policy changes. This information should not be shared with anybody. That is a government policy. And unrelated areas. So these are all common sources for research gaps. So we are saying that there are different types of the research gaps, and there are various sources for research gaps, and there are some techniques to identify the gaps. What techniques we follow? We are saying that there is a gap in a certain field. How to identify those gaps? Are there any techniques to identify those gaps? Systematic mapping. So categorizing existing research to visualize what has been studied and what remains unexplored. Systematically mapping out all this information. And it highlights the concentrations and absences in literature. That is one way of identifying the literature. Over the time, what happened, and if this is happening like this, what trend is not followed? So that highlights concentrations and absences in literature. The citation chaining. Citation chaining is another concept we will discuss in that later. Examines references within key papers. That is backward chaining. If you refer to a certain paper, what is that in back? Before that, what was the information? And after that, what was the information? And tracks newer papers that cite them after forward chaining. One paper, one article, if you take, what is mentioned in that article, before that article was prepared, what was the information? After that article, what is the information developed? That is called as citation chaining effect. That is also one of the methods to identify the gaps. It reveals overlooked or emerging studies. Sometimes, to identify what is overlooked, before framing the objectives, we are defining, framing one methodology. What is that overlooked method that is in the methodology? Or emerging studies. Then meta-analysis, that is another technique. It combines the data from multiple studies to identify patterns, strengths, and weakness in existing evidence, and highlights inconsistencies and areas lacking strong evidences. So that is one way of meta-analysis. Then content analysis. Reviews and quotes literature for recurring themes, trends, or neglected areas, and the useful for both qualitative and quantitative research. There is a content with us that is to be analyzed. For that, we review and quote the literature for recurring themes, trends, and neglected areas, and we use it for both qualitative and quantitative research. That is content analysis. That is one technique to find out, identify the gap. Then expert consultation. Engage with domain experts to uncover less documented gaps or future directions. And it adds the practical perspectives beyond published studies. some experts who are good at their areas, they can tell they are more than the published studies over the time of exposure of technology. So, surveying recent reviews. It examines the conclusions and recommendations in research reviews papers for stated research gaps. So, what are the difficulties or gaps that are there by making a survey for people concerned? Survey may be of different modes, by one-to-one, by making interview, by sending a Google form, or taking out a group of people, like the different surveys. So these are some of the techniques to identify the gaps in a certain research area, right? So mapping, we are saying systematic mapping is one of the techniques to identify the gaps. How do we do that? Systematic mapping. So what is systematic mapping? A structured method for categorizing and visualizing the existing research on a broad topic. You have taken one topic, and into that topic, you are following a method for categorizing and visualizing the existing research. And it involves collection, grouping, and summarizing studies based on the themes, methodologies, or findings. So this is systematic mapping. So how it helps? It identifies what areas have been well studied and where gaps exist. That you can know from the systematic mapping, and provides an overview of research trends, hot topics, and neglected areas. That also will help us where it is neglected, where the concentration it is concentrated, where the trends, research trends overview is there. And it guides the researchers in selecting topics for further investigation. If you do systematically mapping technique, that will guide the researcher in selecting the topics for further investigation. And it supports evidence-based decision making by showing the big picture of the literature. So what is the time? Let me know the time. I have a plan for this. 8:11. So it takes a lot of time. I will actual content we will forget about. So I'll go somewhat fast. So systematic mapping is there. How it is done, you'll see. And citation chaining, that already we have discussed. The meta-analysis, integrating these all. The visualizing research landscapes, that is one technique. And the interactive task. Now, we come for interaction to find a gap. So we'll take one sample. That also I'll go fast. And in workshop session, at the end I have a workshop that I'll plan. So this theoretically will just go on. Please carefully follow this. So our task is to interact, to find out a gap. With an example I am taking, just I will go through the example, and I will take another topic to find a gap, and I will see that how to do it, and by work just like a workshop. See, identifying the gap, task continued. Sample solution, we'll see that, and there are some tips for beginners I will discuss in the coming topic. So I need to, if it is one-to-one discussion or offline, I can interact with my people. That's another problem. So from gaps to reviews, that is a transition. So why structure or review, this and all I will take later. Prisma, preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. This is one technique for literature review. This is the review literature. So for example, you identify the area where your topic starts, record identification from different databases and note it down, and screen out all those records which are relevant to you and which are non-relevant to you, and include the studies in review. Similarly, identification of studies via other methods identification studies via database and registers and other methods. Ultimately, you come to a conclusion where studies included that is called PRISMA review, preferred reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis. That is one methodology. This is another PICO-T, that is, for this example, we have taken a framework to formulate focused clinical research question and guide literature such as, especially in evidence-based medicine. So here, PICO-T, that is, P is a patient or a population or a problem. Who is the patient or what is the population and all. And I, intervention, how interfere it is. C, comparison. O, outcome. T, time bound. So for example, PICO-T is one technique of reviewing the literature. So for example, example is there. In adults, high blood pressure, P, that is patient or problem, does daily exercise, that is intervention, compared to no exercise, C, that is comparison, reduced blood pressure, that is outcome, over 6 months, that is time. This is the PICO analysis. PICO-T, time bound. Why we use this PICO-T is that it helps to clarify research questions. It makes literature such as more systematic and efficient. It improves the quality of evidence-based practice. For example, applying this PICO-T for hypertension patient, there is an example. Another thing is, what is CMO logic? Context, intervention, mechanism, outcome. That is another way of getting literature review. CMO is a logic. It's a framework used to structure research questions and analyze how and why interventions work in different contexts. These are common in social sciences, management, and evolution studies. This is one logic. We'll get back in detail in the workshop. So, applying CMO logic. Context, intervention, mechanism, outcome. This is another logic. So, choosing a review method. What review method you prefer? So, when to use PRISMA, PICO, and CMO. This is a comparison. So, use of PRISMA is a systematic reviews and meta-analysis in health, medicine, or special social sciences. It ensures transparency and completeness in reporting the review process. And it's best when you need to show how studies were identified, selected, and synthesized. PICO-T is useful for framing clinical or intervention research questions. It is ideal for quantitative studies in medicines, nursing, and allied health activities. It helps specifying population, patients, intervention, comparison, outcome, and time. CMO logic, it is useful for complex theory-driven questions in management, education, and social sciences. It is suitable when exploring how and why interventions work in different contexts. So it highlights the role of context, intervention, mechanism, and outcome. So to match your review method in your discipline, a research question, to answer your research question in the complexity of your topic, combining frameworks can strengthen your review. These are the methods, review methods for the literature. So literature matrix is one. So what is that? You prepare a literature matrix. It's a table or a spreadsheet used to systematically organize and compare key details from multiple research studies. So preparation of the purpose behind the literature matrix is that it helps summarize important aspects of each study: author, year, methodology, sample, findings, limitations, etc. It makes it easier to spot patterns, gaps, and trends in that literature, and it supports synthesis and critical analysis during the literature review process. And how it is structured is that it will have columns, it will have rows. We'll see that. An example we'll see. The benefits of this is and manageable. It facilitates efficient writing of reviews or meta-analysis. So building literature matrix, an example. Create a table or spreadsheet. Set up columns for author, year, title, research, question, methodology, sample, key findings, limitations, notes, and identify the sources. So one such simple matrix, sample matrix is there. For example, who is the author, who is the, where it is, when it is found, what is the title, what is the methodology, what are the key findings, what are the limitations, what is the comment. So it's like this, if you prepare a sample matrix, from that you will find it out what is the gap, what is to be done, what is to be modified, like that. So once you have information with you retrieved from various sources, how best you can summarize and synthesize that information with you. Summarizing the information, it restates the main ideas or findings from a single source or several sources. So it focuses on what was said, keeping details in brief and objective. So what does each source say? That is the answer. So synthesizing combines information from multiple sources to create a new understanding or perspective. So it connects ideas, highlights patterns, agreements, disagreements, and draws conclusion. So how do sources relate to each other? What do they collectively show or suggest? So this is what once information reviewed, summarizing and synthesizing. So key differences between the summarization is that it describes the individual sources. Synthesizing means it integrates the sources from various bigger sources. So summarizing literature. So identify key points, highlighting main findings, be concise and objective. Example summary statement. So why to summarize? Summarization of the literature is that it helps to condense large volumes of research, makes it easier to compare and synthesize findings later. So synthesizing the literature. So connect ideas across various sources, compare and contrast, integrate evidences, show progression, and it will reveal gaps, trends, and opportunities. For example, synthesis statement is that while Smith and Lee both found exercise reduced blood pressure, and Patel noted this effect was strongest in adults over 50, suggesting age may moderate the outcome. This is one synthesis statement from the information, like this. So tips for good synthesis is that look for patents first. Is there any patent that we are going to propose? If that is so, your objective may not be valid. So already identified. So spot contradiction. Is there any contradiction? Track the trends. What are the changes? And group studies logically. Integrate. Don't just list out. Integrate all those and acknowledge the gaps. Find out the areas need further investigation. So linking limitations to future questions. So once information is there with you, acknowledge the study limitations, transform limitations into research opportunities, pose the specific research questions, demonstrate the value of further research, praise suggestions constructively. So this and all we will see later. Here I will stop. Next topic is that general purpose of search engines. Okay. So what our discussion was, how to find out the research gaps, how to survey the literature, how to consolidate the literature, how to frame a matrix, how to find out the gaps, how best you can frame the objects, what are various methodologies to review the literature. This and all we have done. So in order to do that, in the olden days, traditional research was going through the literature manually by an individual. That was the trend in the olden days. That is called as traditional research when there were no online resources. So you may find the people, scientists with beard, because reason is that they don't have the time to save even, because most of the time they used to spend recollecting the information by searching so many hard copies, different types of the books. So now there is no worry for us. So we have online search engines. We can take the help of these engines to take out the information. So coming back to the online search engines, these are the powerful web-based tools that help users find information, websites, images, videos, news, and more across the internet by entering keywords or queries. Suppose if you want to know about something, some keyword, if you type it, you can get the information. How do they work? They index billions of web pages using automated web crawlers. When you type or enter a query, search engine uses algorithms to rank and return the most relevant results within the seconds. So many search engines offer image search, maps, shopping, news, voice search. Some engines prioritize privacy by not tracking by others. And why it is important is that search engines make the vast internet usable, allowing a quick access to information, supporting research, business, and daily life. So these are the search engines. Various types of the search engines are there. General search engines are search all types of the information on the web. So Google, Bing, Yahoo, these are the search engines. Then meta search engines send queries to multiple search engines and compile results. Example, Dogpile, Metacrawler, etc. And vertical specific search engines. They focus on particular type of the content. Say, for example, images, Google Images, videos, YouTube, academic, Google Scholar, shopping, Amazon. These are the specific search engines. Then privacy-focused search engines. They do not track user data or personalized results. Example, DuckDuckGo Spot page. So people who are making conversations in criminal activities or conventional information, they use these search engines. So regional search engines. So they are focused on the specific countries or languages. For example, Baidu, it's in China, Yandex in Russia. These are the area-based search engines. So search engines are the information tools, in retrieval tools, to such that there are some browsers. So for example, a browser or a web browser. It's a software application that use to access and interact with websites on the internet. In simple terms, it's what you open when you want to visit web pages like Google, YouTube, Facebook, Wikipedia, or any other such website. So what does a browser do? It fetches web pages from servers using a protocol called HTTP or HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. And it displays text, images, videos, and interactive contents like forms or games. And it executes web-based code, usually written in hypertext markup language, or cascading style sheets, CSS, and JavaScripts. And it manages user data, for example, such as history, bookmarks, cookies, and passwords. So for example, you see, when you type www.google.com in your browser, addresses bar and hit enter, your browser requests that page from Google server and then shows it on our screen. Like these are the web browsers. So there are various types of the browsers. Browser type, description example. For example, graphical user interface browsers. They show text, images, everything. And text-based browsers, mobile browsers, specialized browsers, embedded browsers. We are most concerned about graphical user interface browsers. Examples, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge. Over the time, it was called as Internet Explorer. Safari, Opera, etc. These are the main types of the browsers that we make use. So in order to make use of a browser using a search or a search engine, you need to have a certain platform. So on which device you are using searching, making these activities. So that device will have a certain operating system. So if it is a laptop or a desktop operating system, Microsoft Windows is the most reliable, most popular operating system, and Macintosh Mac operating system, it's Apple's operating system for Mac computers. Linux, it's an open source family operating systems used by enthusiasts, professionals, and servers. And the good old outdated version is the Microsoft Disk operating MS-DOS, outdated. That's not just for the information I'm taking. And similarly, mobile operating systems, Android, iOS, Harmony OS, iOS, server operating systems. These are the optimized for managing servers, computers that provide services all over a network. Windows Server, Linux server distributions. So Windows Server is MS Office, Microsoft operating system for business and enterprises. Linux server systems popular for web hosting, database, etc. like CentOS, Red Hat, Enterprises, Linux, Ubuntu. And Unix, it's a traditional operating system for powerful servers and workstations. These are the various operating systems. So, in order to get the information, to retrieve the information, to get the review, bring out review on a certain topic, you need to have a certain appropriate search engine. What search engine you best you use? So, for example, Google, Bing. So, select a search engine based on your needs. Use general engines like Google and Bing, and stay updated on browser features. Browsers will have different features. Once the operating system is there, browsers will have different features changing over the time. Regularly update your web browser to access the latest features, improved security, and better compatibility with modern web content. And match your OS to your needs. What operating system you are using? Use desktop or laptop for operating systems like Windows, Mac, and Linux. So most of the people in European and Asian countries use Windows. The advanced countries like Germany, US, Canada, those people prefer Mac OS. The Linux is of course based on the requirement we use. So for the productivity, these mobile OS. So be security conscious. Enable security settings, use strong passwords, and be mindful of privacy options in both browsers and operating systems. So leverage new technologies. Take advantage of features like voice search, browser extensions, and app ecosystems to enhance productivity and online experiences. So there are large language models. So a large language model is an advanced AI system trained on a vast amount of text data to understand, summarize, translate, predict, and generate human-like language. So this is large language model. So large language models are different categories. GPT-4, GPT 4.0, latest GPT 4.1. The company owned by is OpenAI. It's used for commercial purposes. It's best for all purposes. Research, summarization. Clad third version. It's Anthropic company, commercial, and it's a long context shape summarization. Gemini, there's Google, commercial, Google integration, multimodal. Like that, Mistral, DeepSeek, Cohere, Falcon, Bloom. DeepSeek is almost open source. DeepSeek AI China is almost similar to ChatGPT. And the thing is that, and some other Windows 365. Copilot is there. Microsoft Copilot. That is also similar to this. We are making use of this. So like this, large language models are there to retrieve the information from the internet. This is about the computer basics. Now, how to review the literature? Another one. Dear friends, any queries, anything you want? Are you able to follow or simply listening to me just as a primary responsibility?
Dear participants, whenever you feel like, you can unmute
You are
yourself.
not comfortable with the topics I'm dealing, you can make a query and you can ask,
Yes.
I can clarify that.
Feel free to interact with Honorable resource person on any aspect.
Yeah. Hello, good evening.
Yes, tell me, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Doc.
Pardon?
Hello, can you hear me?
Your voice is not clear. Please tell me slowly.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Very good evening, very good evening. Tell me, what can I do for you?
Yes, so before we go to the next stage, I have some two questions, two of them. One has to do with the sources of research gaps. You talked about limited information, and I'm looking at if, for example, I'm a PhD student, I'm working on a topic that I have limited information, and it's affecting the word count, and the university insists that I meet a certain word count or pages. In that situation, what do you do? The second question is the types of research gap, and you mentioned the population base. Example is where clinical trial, they consider a certain group, for example, 18 to 45 years. And you know, in research trial, or in clinical trial rather, clinical trial, we try as much as possible, or scientists try as much as possible to exclude people, special population, the aged, the children, for special reasons, their recovery level and those things. So in that case, what can you do to be able to solve that limitation, that gap? Thank you.
So the question was not clear. Talking about the population gap, is it?
I will type it for you.
Is it the population? Are you talking about the population gap, sir?
Let me type it, please.
There are various gaps. Among them, population gap is one. Okay. So when we are running trials with people to bring out some conclusions regarding any issue, so for example, a medicine that is used for a certain disease, in order to make the trial for the population, we are taking people are taking, for example, heart patients, heart attack issues. They are doing the experiment, taking the statistical information from people, especially men of more than 80%. They are taking between the ranges of 18 to 45 age group. But whereas they are ignoring the remaining all people. So below the age of 18, above the age of 45, people, especially women category, they are not representing properly. So there is a population gap. So representation from all the groups of people is not being done. So if at all it is to be applied, it is to be done a trial for the such or information retrieval, it has to be done equally. From sample is to be taken, randomly taken from different ages, representing different age groups, different genders, different areas, like that. That is the gap. So that gap, we are once found, that is to be filled with different categories. Right, sir? If it is still not clear, you can message me. I have my address. I will clarify that.
Okay, so I'll message you, please.
You can contact me by message. I will help you. Right? Anything else?
Nothing more.
Okay, we have left with very less time. Actually, workshop timing will be less. I'll just go in detail very fastly. Kindly cope up with me. So literature review using AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, an in-depth guide on how artificial intelligence is transforming the literature review process across various disciplines. So reviewing, getting out the information from various sources and summarizing, synthesizing the existing research on a topic. That is the literature review. It is used to identify trends, gaps, and theoretical foundations. So types of literature review is that there are three types basically: narrative review, systematic review, meta-analysis. In the narrative review, what people do is it provides a descriptive qualitative summary of existing literature. It focuses on thematic discussions, trends, and author views. That is very important. Somebody is narrating that. So not strictly structured, flexibly allow for critical interpretations, commonly used in humanities and theoretical disciplines, may be subject to bias due to the sensitive, selective inclusion of the studies. Then coming to systematic review, it follows a rigorous, replicable methodology to identify, evaluate, and synthesize studies. It uses predefined inclusion-exclusion criteria and comprehensive search strategies. It aims to minimize bias and provide transparent, high-quality evidence. It is often includes preferred reporting items for schematic reviews and meta-analysis. Prisma, already we have seen, flowcharts to document selection. So common in healthcare, social sciences, and policy search. That is another systematic review. Next review is that meta-analysis. It's a qualitative and quantitative extension of the systematic reviews. Statistically combines results from multiple studies to identify overall effect sizes. It helps resolve inconsistencies and improves generalizability, and it requires high methodological consistency among included studies, frequently used in clinical trials, psychology, education, and engineering studies. So we know that literature reviews are so important for so many reasons that already we have discussed. It helps frame research questions, identifies the gaps, avoids duplication of the work. It provides theoretical foundation for the research. I am going fast because already we have discussed in detail earlier topics. So there is a traditional process of literature review where you define a research question and search the database and journals, screen and select papers, and extract, organize, and summarize the data. That is the traditional way of literature. Then there are some challenges because of the manual literature. The time-consuming and mentally exhausting, high risk of missing relevant work. Manual summarization may lead to bias, hard to manage large volumes of data. So that is the challenge in manual literature reviews. So enter the artificial intelligence. What it does, artificial intelligence is not just a search assistant, it's a literature analysis assistant by combining natural language processing, machine learning, and large language models. Researchers can complete comprehensive, well-structured reviews faster and more accurately, while still relying on their own judgment for quality assurance and interpretation. So, benefits of this AI is it speeds up data gathering and analysis, it improves consistency and coverage, reduces cognitive load on researchers. So, there are some key artificial intelligence techniques used for the literature survey. These techniques are natural language processing, semantic search, text summarization, clustering and classification. I go slowly, and at the end, if time permits, I'll go for DeepSeek, what you call ChatGPT questions. So NLP, it's a field of AI that enables computers to understand, interpret, and generate human languages. Their application is in automated paper screening, topic modeling and clustering, named entity recognition, citation context analysis. It's a systematic review automation. So the common tools for the NLP is this. NLP helps transform literature reviews from hours of manuals shifting to data-driven scalable synthesis. That is the advantage of the NLP. Then semantic search is a traditional search. Traditional search relies on exact keywords and phrase matches. It misses the synonyms, often returns irrelevant results if the query doesn't match exactly. So in the semantic search, what it does is, it's meaning-based search. It uses NLP to understand meaning, interprets the internet intent and content of the queries. It recognizes synonyms related to concepts and keywords. Once you give some keywords, it takes the synonyms also to search the technique, that is semantic technique. So it returns more accurate and relevant results. So the technologies that are used here is word embedded maps words to numerical vectors to capture meaning, word to be vec, globi, and transformer models, advanced deep learning, BET, robot, vector databases. These are the technologies. So applications were used is for the literature review and academic research, to find relevant research beyond keywords also. In the e-commerce, improved product discovery and recommendations, and the legal and patent search. That's similar concepts, not just words. They take the synonyms also. Customer support. These are the applications. This is about the semantic search. Next, text summarization. So what is text summarization? The process of automatically creating a shorter version of his text that preserves the main ideas. It helps user quickly grasp large amounts of information. So it can be extractive. How does it work? It uses NLP and deep learning and identifies and selects important sentences or phrases from original text and understands meaning, then generates new concise sentences. So technology used are BET, GPT, Part T5, test rank, sequence-to-sequence models, pre-trained NLP APIs. So these are applied in news aggregation, quick summaries of articles, legal and medical summarizing long report of documents, customer support shortening conversions, academic research and highlighting main points in the paper. So clustering and classification. What are clustering groups similarly items without predefined labels? They're making it. So both organize and categorize data. They both organize and categorize data. So how they work? They use NLP to analyze the text. Clustering group items based on similarity. The classification predicts labels based on the training data. Techniques and algorithms that are used for k-means, hierarchical clustering, support vector machines, Navi-based, advanced modes like BET, advancing based modes like BET. So these are the techniques of algorithms. So applied in customer behavior segmentation, topic labeling and routing, sentiment and intent analysis, spam filtering, and content moderation. So popular AI tools, what are they? Elicit, Research Rabbit, Cite AI. So these are the popular AI tools in research review. So Elicit by Art is a company. It helps answer research questions using existing papers. These are all hidden in the large language models like DeepSeek, ChatGPT, and so on. So it summarizes evidence and supports claim structuring. It is useful for questions-driven reviews. These are all hidden technologies actually. While you go for literature review through some ChatGPT like DeepSeek, all hidden techniques will be there. Then Research Rabbit, it explores co-authorship and citation networks. So suppose one author is there. For that author, how many related such topics are there? So that will be done by Research Rabbit. It generates dynamic literature graphs. Excellent for discovering hidden connections. So Cite.ai, it tracks citations and distinguishes between supporting, contrasting, or neutral citations. Which citation is for what purpose? It provides smart citation analysis. Semantic Scholar. So it's a AI-powered academic search engine. It filters papers based on influence, recency, and fields of study. It provides citation context and author insights. So connected papers, that is one visual tool to explore paper networks. It uses graph theory to display connections and great for generating initial reading list. So AI-powered literature review workflow is that first we define a research objective and we use AI tools like Elicit or Semantic Scholar to gather papers, and we cluster the results thematically and extract the summaries and cite sources. That is the flow. And framing the research or question. So clearly state the topic of hypothesis. Use structured formats like PICO or SPICE or precision, already we have discussed. Refined with keywords like synonyms and Boolean logic. Step 2 is data collection using AI tools. Input research query to tools such as Elicit, Semantic Scholar, or Cite.ai. Adjust filters, date, field, citation, count, etc. Export relevant citations or summaries. Then clustering and thematic organization. Group the papers by topic, method, findings, or theory. Tools like Researcher Rabbit offer visual mapping of themes. Clustering reveals gaps and redundant studies. So synthesizing the key findings. AI summarization tools extract key insights from papers, compare, contrast, and align findings across sources. It uses synthesis matrix or tables to track findings. Already we have seen how the synthesis matrix is prepared. So referencing and output. So ensure all proper citations using formats like APA, American Psychological Association, MLA, Modern Language Association, and APA, AMA, American Medical Association, or IEEE. I think citations are there. Their managers exploring findings to Word, LaTeX. LaTeX is one package, or spreadsheet. That is another package. And see, citation styles are there in representation of the articles. So APA, American Psychological Society, MLA, Civil for Society, Literature, and Chicago, Harvard, IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer, and Vancouver, AMA, American Medical Association.
Professor, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Okay, sir, carry on, sir.
Kindly show some practicals.
Yeah. I'll stop here. I'll go for the practical.
It's because the time is.
Yes.
You can extend another 15
Okay.
minutes.
No. I'll already most of the topics will be repeating.
Okay, sir.
I'll go for literature review.
Sir.
So only 8 minutes is there. So I'll go for GPT plus. Chat GPT is there for me. Sir, I want to review on certain topic. So for example, describe the evolution of the computers. This is the Chat GPT 4.1 version. Okay. So for this, if you want, already in the prompt engineering yesterday, the professor has discussed how to select a title, how to select an abstract, how to go forward and backward, and how to make what you call citations and all. So in this Chat GPT, similar to that Chat GPT, this DeepSeek is also there. Whatever you want, just like a child, if you explain a word to the Chat GPT, it will give very clearly. So for example, I want an information regarding the mangoes that are produced during so-and-so date to so-and-so date in Andhra Pradesh. That information over 10 years I want. Can I get it? See, for example, provide data on production of mangoes during 2020 2024 in Andhra Pradesh. See, this information directly I am getting. So if the information is not available, it will specify. And notes where it is available, it will show. So you can ask the question, can I get source of information? If it is available, it will tell, otherwise it won't tell. So official and trusted sources, it is mentioning like this. So whatever the question, query that you have, you simply ask and type clearly. And sometimes this chat GPT will give, if it is in, especially in the computation, I have faced so many problems. The chat GPT assumes its own algorithms to create some data, to process or analyze some data and give some results. So as an expert, I could understand that the values that are provided by the chat GPT for my raw data are not satisfactory because they are not consistent. Then I asked the chat GPT again, seems to be inconsistent, what for it is so, can you please provide? It will say sorry, with this hypothesis I have done like this. So like this, if you have any query, if you clearly ask this chat GPT or DeepSeek, it will clearly provide, or even it will do so many number of calculations also. For example, XY data is there. Simply if you want to produce, plot a graph between XY data. See, for example, plot a graph between X and Y for given data. See, I'm asking. See what it will tell. Absolutely. Please provide the X and Y data you want to plot. You can either paste the numbers directly like this. He has given. So once you provide the data, I will plot the graph like it itself is asking. I will tell him, take a random data of your choice. So we are giving a chance to that ChatGPT to take the random data and to provide its. See, for my data only it is giving. See how best. Just now before 2 minutes, 3 minutes back, I have asked for the data for the mango product in Andhra Pradesh. That data itself is taking. See how brilliantly it is taken. So over the time, the production in metric tons like this. Random data I told you to take, it takes like this. Like this, we can ask any question, it will tell. So some raw data, if you provide, if you want to ask the trends in that, analyze this data like this. So for example, now this graph is there, analyze that graph. Analyze the graph in a meaningful way. So overall trend, it is saying year by year what is happening. It is saying interpretation of the plateau, how it is saying, and contextual insights. It is bringing out what this means for the future. You can hypothesize the summary. So again, it is asking if you want, I can do. See here. If you want, I can do more detailed analysis such as growth rate, moving average, or predictive modeling. Let me know. Yes, provide. Yes. proceed. So let's dive deeper with some extra analysis of the mango production data. Here is what I will cover. Okay, it is saying growth rate, how much, year-wise growth rate, average production, trend analysis. Now, I'm asking, provide the coding for computation. In order to do these calculations, what code you are using? See, it's a Python code based on the imported NumPy. Based on this, it is given. It's like this, whatever you want. Another thing I want to tell you about this, Jenny.ai. Jenny AI, this is very, very important and useful tool. The thing is that it is to be subscribed. Even for my ChatGPT also, I am paying 2,000 per month. So DeepSeek, now it's coming freely. In future, it will also be levied. So GenAI is a most powerful tool to see. For example, I am clicking on the GenAI. So meet a intelligent research assistant. What it does is the AI-powered workspace to help you read, write, and organize research with ease. So starting it will be free. Like this, we can go for further. So anything that we can. Now you ask for any query, I'm here to help you regarding ChatGPT and DeepSeek. Please, whatever you want, that information you will get it. If not clear, that will give you some wrong information. And if you further ask, it will clarify and take the information from you, input, and give the output. Coding also you don't need to do. It will give it on its own. So these all algorithms that are deep learning algorithms, machine learning algorithms, all the algorithms that are hidden in this ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and whatever information that we are asking, simply it will take and process inside. It's a large, that is why it is called a large language model. Everything is inbuilt in that. It will do the calculations, it take the information and give the output in the way whatever you want. Is that clear? Anything? So our topic is to find out the research gaps and make use of the AI tools. So that is the reason why I spent more time on research gaps, and then later came to AI tools. Before that, in between, there is a bridge. What is that browser? What is that operating system? What is that website? What are the language models? Like that, large language models, etc. Any clarification, anything, sir?
Yeah, sir, Professor, I have one doubt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have shown us graph.
Yes, sir.
How much error means it is 99% accurate of the graph or 90%? How much error will be there?
That also you can ask. See, for example, for year-on-year growth rate, what is the error?
It will give?
Yes. For year-on-year growth. Error or accuracy, sir?
Accuracy also. Okay, whatever means it is 1% error or 2% error.
That depends on the algorithm that it takes actually. Different algorithm it will take, and it itself decides which algorithm is best fit for that, like this. So here,
like Sigma will use.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tell,
error, what he is saying now, year-on-year growth calculation.
Dr. Sreenivasula.
Is accuracy or error when it is when is it relevant? So it says story about it, calculating error and predicted growth. So theoretical part it is giving, and see detailed year-wise error analysis, actual production predicted by the trend line, error, the actual predicted. These are the values. Everything, sir. Only thing is that, like a child, just like that, our child is going to home, na, college, school, na. If you do the instructions clearly like a child, everything it will do. Otherwise, if you wrongly direct that, it will give wrong values. I am the victim for that. Most of the values that I got by giving my data, I have got very wrong values, hallucinated values. Once
how much data it can take, 1 GB, how much data it can take at a time, 1 GB or 2 GB?
I think it's a limited. For free version, it is limited. For mine is GPT 4.1. Mostly 100 articles I can upload. There is a what you call subscription rates are there, sir. So more features are there. Based on the subscription you are paying, that will do. And even GPT plugins are here. So, for example, GPT Plus, Smart Slides, Math, AI, so many plugins are there. That means attached with that.
Okay.
Like that.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much.
Anything else, audience?
Yes. So myself, I'm a heavy user of Claude AI. And this is the first time I'm seeing ChatGPT being used extensively or to solve a lot of research problems.
Yes.
So I don't know if you would advise me to just forget about Claude AI. I have the subscription for both, and I'm a PhD student, but I'm also a software engineer by profession. So I've been developing software for the past 8-9 years before I started my PhD.
Your background is from which area, sir?
Pardon? My
Which
PhD.
educational background? Computer science?
Yeah. So I'm using predictive analytics to improve.
Okay. See, for computer science people, they have in-depth knowledge.
Yeah, for me, I use Claude AI.
I'll be answering for that. Claude AI, I don't have much awareness on that. I just have the GPT Plus, DeepSeek. In multiple ways, I can make use of that services, including coding. So, for example, you see, tell me about GPT Plus better than regular ones. Explain how code. So different questions, images. I can provide an image. For example, provide image of mango. I can do it. So many features are there. Thing is that I'm not much aware of the technology. I am much more aware of utilizing the resources. Claude AI, I am not much aware of it.
Okay, because at work, whenever I write my code with ChatGPT compared to the code generated by Claude AI, I see a lot of hallucinations from the code generated by ChatGPT compared to that of Claude AI. So that's a reason why I personally use.
Okay, thing is, suppose for example, as a layman, I will tell you, if you prepare chicken biryani at your home, if I prepare chicken biryani at my home, both will be tasty, but the mode that I prepare, the mode that you prepare will be different.
Yeah, of course.
The same is that in that case also.
Okay. So for research, you would recommend the use of ChatGPT only,
yes,
right?
Absolutely ChatGPT.
Okay.
And this Gen AI is there now. If you subscribe for that, please remember that Gen AI. If you go for ChatGPT, the ChatGPT always suggests Gen AI.
Okay.
At the end. Okay.
Yeah,
now it's marketing Gen AI is a new product. Follow the ChatGPT, it will give all the directions. Only thing is that there are some plugins. For that plugins also we need to subscribe. That is the matter of money. If you go for high-end ChatGPT subscription, that's okay. Now you see how beautiful the mango is.
Yeah, I see that.
Just like this, simple random thought. ChatGPT is the best way, but remember that it will give every time ChatGPT says, see, for example, are you able to see that? ChatGPT can make mistakes, check important information, see cookies preferences. It will always in the safe mode. Sometimes it will commit some mistakes also. So the algorithm that it takes to compute and analyze that information what we are providing may not be done by appropriate algorithm. Sometimes randomly it goes. Just like that in a traffic, if you want to go to a certain place, even if you know the way, sometimes we will deviate from the way. Like that, the ChatGPT will also do. Pardon, sir? See, here also you see, by the way, research, you might find Gen AI helpful. It is an intelligent research assistant for essays, research papers, and many more. If you subscribe for Gen AI, that also may be good. But more, ChatGPT is universal almost. Anything else, sir?
I think I'm good, but there are some questions in the chat that I think you may want to respond to.
Now you want to raise, or you will send by messages? So whatever the questions instead of Dr. Sreenivasula, ChatGPT will better help you. Or you go for DeepSeek, that also will be, whatever the question you ask, they will give. Either DeepSeek or ChatGPT, they provide brilliant, enormous, beautiful, and excellent solutions for any query. Only thing is, you have to mold up with the, train up with that ChatGPT. Or even DeepSeek also is giving. DeepSeek is maintained by China. This ChatGPT is the OpenAI. Anything else?
Okay, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
For excellent session, telling about various types of.
Can you please allow me one question last?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, sir. Please ask your question, and after that, offer the vote of you, sir.
Professor, there are a lot of simulation packages are there also.
Yes, sir.
Like MATLAB, Giant, and SolidWorks. And
Berkeley,
yeah. Compared to that, our AI tools will give better results, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, all those tools, what you said, are conventional tools meant for generic applications.
Yes.
In those days, when they were developed based on certain existing algorithms.
Correct.
Now, the artificial intelligence AI tools, they adopt the most relevant, most accurate algorithms.
Okay. But root also very powerful.
Yes, sir. There will be some error, some accuracy. Accuracy will be better in following this ChatGPT because it adopts newly developed algorithms.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Sir, please kindly go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Sir.
Okay.
I request Honorable President of Research India Foundation Governing Council to offer vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Yeah.
After that, we'll conclude, sir.
Yeah. Respected and esteemed speaker, Professor Sreenivasula, and all the participants. We had a nice lecture, and it was very much informative and practical also. And certain questions even I also put, and he answered and tools have better things compared to old things. So, on behalf of Research India Foundation, on behalf of Honorable Chairman and participants, I am conveying our wholeheartedly congratulations and many thanks to our esteemed speaker. And we are going to conclude today. And we had a very good session. Many thanks, Professor, for your nice lecture today and very informative
Thank you very
and
much, sir.
very thoughtful.
Okay, sir. Kindly share the feedback with me, sir.
Really, sir, it's a wonderful session, and I think yesterday's and today's there was a lot of synergy between them. And dear participants, I have already emailed you yesterday's video link and a PPT as well. Please check your emails to find that. And this one also, because the video is generated after some hours. So tomorrow it will be available, but we'll send you the video link. And also when Honorable Professor shares his PPT, I'll also share with you all. So I thank once again Honorable Chief Guest and Resource Person of today, Professor Sreenivasula, our Honorable President L. Venkatesam Reddy Garu, Professor Sreenivasula, and all esteemed participants, and special thanks to all the Research India Foundation Deputy Chairpersons and Secretaries, General Secretaries for excellent cooperation and making this event a grand success. Thank you to all of you, and please feel free. In the brochure, you will find my WhatsApp. You may call, you can make on WhatsApp message. Any support you need, any query you have, we will definitely, revert to you. With these words, once again, I thank Honorable Professor, and we are closing this. So please allow us to close for today. Tomorrow we meet at 7.
Yeah. Kindly go ahead.
Sir, once again, Professor Tarkesar Barua of the University of Liberia, and he will be dealing with. You can go through this and come ready also with questions, no problem. Ask as many questions as you want. All our research persons are of a global rank. They can answer any question you want to ask. They will be very happy to help you out. Thank you. Good night, sir. Good night to all of you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
May contact to my mail or WhatsApp.
Yeah, sure, Professor.
We'll be shared our.
We'll be in touch with you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
All of you. Good night.
You.
And take care.
Yes, sir. You too, sir.
Good day. Good day. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.